Okay, so this is what I got today. Commodore 64C. Um, I'm sure it probably doesn't work because I bought it as untested. You don't know what that means. Has a reset switch on it, which is typical for the day, but unfortunately it puts a hole in the case. So, you know, for what it's worth. All right, so let's go ahead and power this thing on. Let's get the screen going here. And let's see what we've got. All right. Well, there you go. Got a black screen. I'm going to shut this thing off. So there's obviously a signal going to it as I get a black screen. So before we put the diag cartridge in, well, let's put the diag cartridge in. Let's see. So this isn't the diag cartridge. It's a dead test. Okay, we got one flash. Okay, so RAM. Just out of curiosity, I'm putting a Kickman cartridge in now to take the ROMs out of the equation. Yeah. Okay. I also heard a sound, so the SID chip's probably good. So, yeah. RAM, PLA, one of the two. The SID looks fine, or sounded fine. I heard it beep. So, let's go ahead and power this thing down, and let's get this cracked open and do a little bit of testing. A lot of yellowing to this, so this is prime for retrobrighting. So, in case you don't already know, unlike the bread bin, this uses Torx, I guess, because it has Torx screws. It's not Allen head, it's Torx, I think it's called. Anyway, so you take those 3 screws out and then you push along the sides here. There's 2 little tabs that hold the case in, and then as far as the back is concerned, there are clips in the back. They're very easy to break if you don't pull this off properly. So I usually kind of push a little bit. I usually push this out, push it towards the back a little bit. You'll see why in a second. These little tabs here slide into these little recesses, and if you were to just pull it up or pull it towards you and pull it up, you break off most likely these tabs right here in the back. So after you get the sides pushed in and this pops up, I kind of push it towards the back, and that releases the little latches here. All right, so you got the reset switch back here. So pretty sturdy job that they did there. All right, so we got to take the keyboard off next. The keyboard does use Phillips screws, so now the keyboard is slid underneath these little tabs here, so you can just pull it out. It's 2 screws on the top that held it in place. Okay. So there's our keyboard. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't just pull this whole top of the case out because this is these 2 wires for the reset switch up here at the top are soldered onto the user port or the, yeah. So we can unplug the LED just to give us a little bit more wiggle room, but normally I would just go ahead and unsolder this and take that out, but I don't want to leave a hole in the case. It really doesn't do anything bad to have a reset switch, so I'm just going to leave it in there for now. What I'll do though is, just so I don't have this thing dangling around, is I'm going to just take the switch off the case here. All right, a lot of dust bunnies. So let's try taking this shield off. All right, so this is what we have. So let's go ahead and start testing the RAM first. Let me clean this up a little bit here. Okay, first and foremost, I want to take out the SID chip because it seemed like it was good, and I don't want to risk doing anything to damage it. So I'm going to take this thing out. All right. So let's go ahead and turn this back on and feel any heat coming from any of these chips. And we'll leave it on for a little bit. This one here is getting hot. This one. Okay, rather than using the back bit tester to test this in circuit, let's do this old school. So I'm going to basically piggyback now a RAM chip on the suspected bad one, which is this one that's been heating up. So by piggybacking, basically you're taking a RAM chip, identical RAM chip, and just putting it right over it, making sure that all the pins are making contact. So let's do that. And maybe you do have a bad RAM chip. This piggybacking will kind of substitute the RAM chip that's there. All right, so that's piggybacked right on it. And let's go ahead and turn this thing on. Well, look at that. That's what piggybacking does. So that's one good way to test a RAM chip that you might think is bad. You know, without using an inline tester or without unsoldering, you know, unnecessarily. So I think we know what we need to do. We need to unsolder and socket that one RAM chip, and we should be good to go at that point. So there you go. So if you didn't know about it before, now you know about it now. Just another technique for testing your RAM chips, piggybacking them. Interestingly enough, there are IBM motherboards with RAM in them that piggyback RAM chips as well, but on purpose, from the factory. That way, you might want to Google that one. I have a couple of IBMs where the chips are piggybacked. So anyways, let's go ahead and take care of this and start unsoldering. Okay, we want to unsolder that guy right there. So we want to make sure we mark that. Now, these boards, unfortunately, are a pain in the butt to take components off. Why? Because the pins are kind of bent on them. They're not straight, unlike the bread bins that are kind of straight up. So when you unsolder, they just kind of pop right out. These you have to kind of manipulate with a little tiny screwdriver. So anyways, let's get to it. I'm going to turn the desoldering gun on, so it's going to make a little bit of noise. Let's go for it here. So we didn't get all of the solder completely out of this, so we're going to push some of these pins that we did get unsoldered, straighten them out to be able to pull this out. And then since we already know this RAM chip is bad, we're just going to cut the pins on the other side to make it easier for us to extract and clean this hole up. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, the pins that are left in there are the stubborn pins, so what I do with those is I use a pin and I heat up the pin and push it through the hole and open the hole up. And that's what we've done right now, and that looks good. All right, so we're set. So I have a socket here. I'll put the socket in place. Okay, I think we're good to go. Okay. Let's clean this up a little bit. So, moment of truth. And let's give this some power. All right, here we go. All right, so there we have it. Let's go ahead and put the diode cartridge in. And actually, let me put the SID chip back in. That's what I'm going to do right now, and then I'll put the diode cartridge in. All right, here we go. Nice. All right. All right, there we go. So we got another working Commodore. Again, the bad ports you see is only because I don't have the harness hooked up to this. But you know, usually when you get to the nice blue screen giving you all the memory and you're going through all of these steps, go through the SID, you know, 99% of the time the rest of these are fine. So for the sake of time though, I'm just going to go ahead and call this complete. I'll make this video short and sweet. So what did we do? We basically piggybacked a RAM chip to know that this was the bad RAM, even though our dead test also pointed to it because it was one flash. But then the second part is that this chip was also getting warm. But before unsoldering it, we piggybacked it and showed that it worked once we piggybacked it. So that means that that chip certainly was bad. And there you go. So won't bore you by putting this thing back together because I'm going to be retrobrighting the keys and the keyboard anyways. That I have enough videos showing that, so I'm not going to bother. So there you have it. Bad RAM, easy peasy. So like I always say, you know, hope you got something out of this. Even if I did something wrong, hopefully you got something right, or am I doing something wrong? You know, again, life is short. Live for the day. Enjoy the moment. Peace out.